Hi and welcome to May Contain. If you're new to the May Contain YouTube channel, make sure to hit subscribe below. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, I've done a story on Sunday about my big announcement. So the big announcement is I'm doing a podcast. So I've been working on this for the last 8 months to a year now. And I finally decided to announce that May Contain is doing a podcast. So the trailer is coming out this week. And then on the 23rd of September, the first episode of Dating with an Allergy is coming out. So today I thought it'd be a good idea to share the story behind the May Contain podcast. So the story behind the podcast was I was getting a train from London to Bolton. And it takes roughly about 2 hours on a train to get to Manchester. And had these 2 hours to either watch a film or listen to a podcast or do whatever. And I just remember reflecting on what I've achieved last year and whether I was happy with what I was achieving. And I always kind of reflect to myself of what it is I want to achieve that year. So I kind of set myself goals, and I've always thought with when I'd done the May Contain magazine, I was obviously very overwhelmed at the success of that and how it raised so much awareness and the reach it did have. And I've always felt a bit of pressure, to be honest, because the magazine was really successful and it did raise a lot of awareness. And I was always thinking how am I going to achieve that again and raise lots of awareness. And I've been obviously really trying with obviously the May Contain Instagram and obviously doing a YouTube channel. But I felt there's still something missing or something I could do to raise awareness. And I've always listened to podcasts. It's something I've always been very much interested in, and I felt like I learned so much through podcasts and they educate me about stuff I never knew anything about before. So I decided I was going to do a podcast for allergies. And I remember being on this train and I was I actually searched for podcasts with allergies, and this is about a year ago now. And I listened to one or two, literally for a few minutes, and they were so clinical and so medical, I literally lost interest straight away. And I thought, if I was going to do a podcast, how would I do it, or how would I go about it? With that in mind, I was thinking, if I was going to do a podcast, how am I going to make it accessible to allergy sufferers, but also people that don't have allergies? And that basically in itself was my mission. I wanted to do a podcast what was going to raise awareness for allergy sufferers and give them the confidence to speak up about their allergy, but also non-allergy sufferers. And the reason being, the allergy community in itself understand how severe having an allergy is. But it's people outside the allergy circle but don't understand how severe or how serious an allergy is. And I thought, if I'm going to share my experience, I'm going to try and do it in a way which is more conversational to really break down that stigma of having an allergy. So I've done a podcast with my parents and my friends and also guests which have severe allergies as well. But I really want to do this podcast to really break down the stigma in a way that is engaging and more accessible for people that don't have allergies. Because they're the ones, if I have an allergic reaction and I'm in a public place, no one knows how to use the EpiPen, it is really scary. So I'm really doing this podcast to just put allergies hopefully in the mainstream and make it more accessible. And that is my mission, really, to educate everyone about how serious having an allergy is. I really hope by sharing my experiences on the podcast, it can break down that stigma. And like I said, I am trying to do it in a way where it is more conversational and it's less medical and clinical. And it's just me having a conversation with a friend or a family member. And I'm just super excited to finally share it with you guys. And thank you for just being on this journey with me as well. I think sometimes I don't get the chance or get the opportunity to just thank you, because I feel we have been on this journey from doing this magazine, then obviously setting up the blog and Instagram and YouTube, and now doing a podcast. It has been incredible, and I do want to take this opportunity to just thank you everyone who's followed me on this journey, and it honestly means so much. And even I said at university when I was doing the magazine, put my heart and soul into it. I really did, and honestly it was overwhelming when it did raise so much awareness. And I feel the same with the podcast. I've literally put everything into it. So I do really hope it does make a difference to someone, or gives someone the confidence to speak up about their allergy, or maybe educate someone who knew nothing about allergies before but they got listening to the podcast because of someone shared it with them. And yeah, hopefully you guys really like it. And if you do, please subscribe and share it with a friend or a family member. And I just really hope it does just make a difference, because like I said, I have put everything into this, and I just hope it does raise awareness. And yeah, I just thought I just want to see this video, just like share the story behind why I did it, and always be really honest with you. And yeah, I think I just thought I just wanted to share my story behind the reason I wanted to do the podcast. If you like this video, do make sure to give it a like, subscribe to Make Entertain if you don't before, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye. Hello, my name is Daniel Kelly, and this is May Contain, the podcast breaking the stigma of what it's really like living with a severe food allergy.